tonight is more of a determining how we're going to go about this process, what the ground rules are that we'll use, and we'll make a determination from there at some point in time. I know the goal is to have somebody appointed in time for our February 13th meeting. So with that said, I would like to start this evening off, and I would like to see what candidates are here so that we have more or less a face recognition. So Mr. Stopper, if you're here, would you stand up, please? Thank you. Mr. Tolbert, if you're here, would you stand up? Thank you very much. Ms. Shell, if you're here, would you please stand? Mr. Taylor, if you're here, would you please stand? Thank you.
Hey, Dan, can you let me know who's standing and who's there and who's not?
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm sorry, Sal. You couldn't see through the telephone?
No, yeah, we haven't quite figured out the whole video technology, I guess.
Okay.
So, no.
So far, Doug Stoffer is here. Douglas Tolbert's here. Kristen Shell is not. Michael Taylor is here, and that's where I stopped.
Okay, thanks.
If Ms. Herring is here, would you stand? Ms. Herring is not here.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna take a stab at this, but I'll say Macbeth. How do I pronounce the first one?
W.
W?
Or Reese.
Reese, gotcha. All right. Mr. Macbeth is here. Mr. Savage? Thank you. Mr. Savage is here. Mr. Schoberg? Mr. Schoberg is here. Mr. Patel? Mr. Patel is not here. And Brooke Davis. Brooke is here. Thank you, Ms. Davis. All right, did you hear all that, Mr. Najumian?
I did, thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
And Councilman Jumian, just as a reminder, after this is over, or I think right now it's being live streamed on YouTube if you want to be able to watch at the same time.
Okay, thanks.
So, Council, you've had opportunities to review the letters of intent and resumes. What is your opinion about the process that we want to go through as far as making selections?
Personally, I think that we might
Pull that mic over there.
do we have background checks? I don't think we need to move forward without.
Sir, I have done the residency background checks just to ensure that they are in fact Knoxville residents, city of Knoxville residents. I have not done background checks because we have 10 applicants, and I didn't know if we were going to whittle it down to the top 3, top 5, whatever that the council wanted to do. After that, I was going to do background checks before selection was made.
Do you have anything else?
Well, let me ask you a quick question on that. What's the driver behind background checks? Now, I understand that's a good thing to do, but is that a prerequisite for any of us when we ran for these seats? I don't recall that being a prerequisite to be in that seat. There's nothing in the charter that makes that a requirement.
It's not, but it's a good thing to have.
Well, then on what grounds do you eliminate somebody that is not part of a formal form of a selection?
I have to get back with you on that, Sal.
All right.
I didn't hear that answer.
He said he would get back to you on that.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Najumian, since you have the floor, do you have any comments or anything that you want to put forth in terms of the selection process?
Yeah, I've got a couple of thoughts. So first of all, I don't subscribe to the theory that we have to have somebody in the seat by the next council meeting. That's an artificial time that we are potentially setting ourselves. We have very successfully operated with a member of our council not present. We run the risk of a tie vote, and if we get a tie vote, then we'll move it to the next meeting when we have enough people. So I don't think we need to rush to a decision that we're going to have to live with for the next 3 years. So my first point is We should take the time that's required to do this, not rush to an artificial timeline. Second, I do think we need to whittle the list down so we can have thorough debate on the candidates that we collectively think should be on the ballot, so to speak. That's a bad term because they're not on the ballot. That are on a short list for consideration. I think we all need to go through there and come up with our own point system, if you will. I don't think we need the city council, the city manager to develop a scoring rubric like we do for, say, source selection for a project where someone's got a proposal together. I think we all, as city council members, having served for a number of years, understand what the important elements of the job are. And we can go through the cover letters or the letters of intent and resumes and build a narrative as to who we think is best. And we can use a 1 to 10 or a 1 to 100 as long as we use a consistent scale, rank order our candidates, and then assemble that and then take the top 5. I'm randomly selecting a number, open for debate, to then have further conversation. And again, I think if we need another meeting or 2 meetings to go through that process, that's what we'll do. So those are my opening thoughts. Thank you, Mayor.
You bet, thank you, and we will move forward to see what the other council members have to say. Mr. Schatzel, do you want to speak?
I have a question for Mr. Dietz. When you hire an employee into the city, do you do a background check on them?
Yes, sir.
Is that a credit check or a background check for including the police and credit?
I think it's both, sir.
Okay. In a sense, Al, I would kind of side with Carl, and I think we need to do a background check because we are paid employees of the city as a city council person.
That's an interesting point. Thanks for that, Councilman Schatzel. I didn't consider that, and I didn't know it was a prerequisite to be a city employee. So if that is in fact a prerequisite for city employees, then I think by extension that passes the logic test.
Okay.
And David, you're saying that's a prerequisite to be employed. Every single person has to have a background check before we hire.
Yes, sir, that's my understanding. We do a background check. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say Danielle Holly and I worked extensively on those, and they're pretty thorough and very, very complete.
So, yes, sir,
Here's my point. As long as we have a legal basis for doing it, I'm all in. I just didn't want an artificial factor that we threw out there because it's a good thing to do to then become something that can get challenged later. So, Dave, if you're telling me we have a legal basis because it's already part of any employee being hired by the city of Niceville, I withdraw my concern associated with the background check.
Can I make a comment? Well, maybe.
Yes.
So I don't know that we're necessarily employees of the city of Niceville in the same way, but we don't have to go through a background check when we run for office. So I'm not sure why we would do this at this point, but Mr. Powell, would you like to weigh in on this?
Yeah, it's really not the same as hiring an employee. We're making an appointment for an interim council member, which none of the council members have had to undergo a background check because it's an elected position. So I wouldn't think that the background check is necessary. I do think a thorough interview and qualifications and so forth would be necessary and more appropriate. However, there's nothing to prevent that we couldn't do a background check. But I think most of the applicants are probably known in the community, and I wouldn't foresee any problem. I think, the background check is mostly for criminal records and so forth. I think that's what we concentrate mostly.
All right, thank you, Mr. Powell. Mr. Schatzel, do you have any other comments?
Yes, I do. I know it was said in the last city council meeting in January that we would hope to have an individual in place by the February council
Hey,
meeting.
Sal, there's a lot of noise going on. Can you mute yourself?
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to get someplace here. Yep.
Thanks.
Okay, so we said it in the last council meeting, that we would look to have a councilman in place by the February council. I personally don't insist that we have it by February. However, I would like to see it as close as possible to the February council date, either right before or right after, so it doesn't drag on 60 and 90 days.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any other inputs on how you want to run the selection process?
Yes, I would also agree that we need to down select to 2 or 3 candidates, 2 or 3 applicants. So I'm not in favor of going for 5 applicants and interview all 5. I would like each of us to submit a list, probably to the mayor, as our top 3 candidates and go from there.
Thank you.
That's it.
Miss Ally?
I'm always a standout that doesn't agree with everybody. I do agree with it. I think we should have somebody in place by next month. I don't think it's that difficult. We have 12 good applicants here in front of us, and I would like to see this narrowed down to 4 or 5, and then maybe bring those 4 or 5 before us and talk to them, maybe ask them questions, interview them, and I think that we could make this happen, by the February meeting, and I think that it would be a good thing to have that happen, so we could have a full council again. So, and I think that we could maybe write down our top 4 or 5 choices, give them to you, you can rank them, and then tell us who they are. I think that would be an easy way to do this and not drag this out where we leave tonight, go home, we send you our selections, and then we have to come back and go, okay, these are the top 5 or whatever. So that's my opinion. I think we could write it down tonight, give them to you, you guys could rank them, and we can move forward. So that's my suggestion.
Thank you. Okay, with that said, I've received inputs from everybody in terms of how they'd like to conduct this process. To those candidates that are here tonight, I am not going to ask you to come forward and speak. You have already sent us your letters of intent, and you've already sent us your resumes. What we will do is we will review those again, and we will rank order those candidates, and we will down select probably from the top 4 candidates. Right now there are 10 candidates. I have one question for Mr. Deitch and his staff, and that is, of on the letter that went out, or the contact that went out, did we tell the candidates to be here tonight, or did we just simply say this was happening tonight?
No, sir, it went out in the information release, the news release that Shanitra put out, that this meeting was public and they were invited, that all Niceville residents were invited to attend, but there was no requirement that the applicants attend this meeting tonight.
Thank you, and I make that very specific because we do have 3 candidates that did not show up, and I don't want them to be held. Is Kristen here now?
Yes.
Kristen, okay, Kristen stepped in. So, all right, sorry, I didn't see, when I called your name, you didn't step forward. So anyway, the point being is that I want everybody to have a fair shake whether they're here or not tonight. So when we evaluate, you're evaluating all 10 on the merit of their letters of intent and their resumes, period. So with that said, I think that I agree we will take a process that is efficient, yet not rushed. If we need more meetings to interview candidates and make a selection, then I will be more than willing to do that. We will know a little bit more later on this evening, because I am going to ask all the council members, including Mr. Najumian, to rank order their list. Mr. Najumian, do you have the list in front of you? And do you have their resumes and their letters of intent?
Yeah, I do. I've been through everything already.
Okay, great. So we will make a down select, so to speak, based on the rankings. You'll submit them to me. With the assistance of our city attorney, Mr. Powell, we will go through and we'll make a determination on who those top 4 candidates will be, and then we will look to do some interviews at a later date. Are there any questions?
Are we rank?
Go ahead.
Mr. Are we ranking 1 to 11, or are we just giving you our top?
Give me your top 4.
And do you want your top 4 right now?
Yes.
Well, we're gonna take a few minutes here, I'm gonna let you do that. Okay?
It's 10, and Sal, there's only 10.
Yeah, there was 11 at one point in time. So, again, just give me your top 4. Are there any other questions about the process? Is there any input from the audience? If so, please come forward, state your name for the record. And I see nobody moving. Thank you very much. All right?
Sal, did you see where Carolyn Clark withdrew her application?
I did. Yeah, that just came out a little bit earlier today.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
Thanks.
And just so the audience knows, I will not be voting on this. Since I'm the guy that's going to be working with the city attorney, I will not vote. I will simply help tally who those top 4 are. And with that said, I'm going to ask the council to go ahead and take their time. I'm not going to give you a specific amount of time, but go ahead and start down selecting your top 4 candidates.
Hey, Wendy,
Yes, sir.
I'm going to text you my 4, write them down, and hand them to Mayor, please.
Will do.
It's going to be about 5 minutes.
Okay.
Wendy, use this to write them on. That way everybody's got the same yellow.
Put our names on the paper?
Sure. Sure. Sal, I was asked if I wanted the names from the council members who are making their down select. I said sure.
Mine will be the one you get from Wendy.
You know, I thought it might be, but just making sure.
Dan, can I ask you a question on process while everyone's coming up there 1 through 4?
Yes, go ahead.
So I'm just kind of workshopping this in my head. I imagine everyone's number, it should be reverse scoring. So everyone's number 1 should get 4 points. And all the way on down to 1 point for number 4. Because we're obviously going to have all 11, 10, 9, 8, however, 11 names could all heroes. So, and if we're going to go with the foremost, the highest getting points, then I think we need to go with not a golf scoring, but a reverse golf score.
Yeah, that's
where
fine.
1 gets you 4.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Yep, so if we all, let's say, pick David Deitch as our number 1, and 5 of us turn that in, he should have 20 points, and automatically moves on for consideration. So.
I totally agree.
And then the last point is, because we don't really have a process, I mean, we're making it up on the fly, I would say that if the break point between, say, 4 and 5 is extraordinarily small, we would consider bringing in a fifth. Look for the natural break for where we put it, rather than artificially saying it's going to be at 3 people or 4 people or 5.
And I appreciate that input, and I like it, and I will do that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councilman and Jimmy, we received your text message.
Great, thanks.
council and citizens. The top 4 candidates are Ms. Shell, Mr. Tolbert, Mr. Stoffer, and Mr. Patel. Thank you all for your interest. I appreciate the fact that you want to serve the city, and I would encourage you to consider that in the future as well. We will be making some recommendations in terms of setting up some dates to do some personal interviews. We will interview those 4 candidates, and we will down select from there. So again, Ms. Shell, Mr. Tolbert, Mr. Stoffer, and Mr. Patel are the top 4.
Hey, Dan, can I say something real quick?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so first of all, thank you for sharing that summary. I want to echo your comments. I think it's really important. To have almost a dozen of our city residents come forward for this with very little time to prepare for something that's important in the city council seat is really, really impressive. And whether you made the final 4 or not says a lot about you. And I definitely echo the mayor's comments. We have an election coming up just over a year from now, March of 25. Several seats will be coming available or are potentially going to be available, mine being one of them. And I'll say it right now, I've said it before, I'm not running again. So if you don't make it tonight, I guarantee you there's at least 1 seat that's going to be available come March. And I would love to see some competition, which the city has not seen as of late. There's been a tendency to let the incumbent hold on to the seat, and I would love to see people actually running and saying why they want to serve their city. So thank you all very much for that.
Indeed. Does anybody else on the council want to say anything? Go ahead, Ms. Alley.
Can we pick a date that we're gonna get back together to, talk with these 4?
Yes, we will pick a date. Let me see if anybody else has any other comments. Mr. Schatzel?
I really thank our mayor and South for saying what they did, we started off with more than 11 applicants, some were outside of the city, came down to 11 and then 1 withdrew, so we had 10 applicants, and all of these applicants want to be citizen servants to the city of Niceville, and I was very impressed with that. And you don't know each other, or I'm assuming you don't know each other, but in looking through the resumes, I saw at least 2 attorneys. I saw a pastor. I saw applicants who had PhDs. Not that a PhD is going to get you a city seat, but everyone was college educated, bachelor's, master's, or higher PhD, and I thought that was impressive. Engineers, and I think that's impressive, and we also had entrepreneurs. So I was really impressed that you all wanted to be citizen servants to the city of Niceville.
All right. With that said, Dan, how much notice we have to give to have another meeting?
14 days.
14 days?
Yes, sir.
So based on that, that would be the 12th of February, correct?
It'll take a couple days to get it in the paper.
So you're telling me 16 days now,
Yeah, right. So it takes about 2 days to get it in.
huh? Okay. Well, let me see what's on the agenda here. So the 13th, yeah.
13th Feb is the next council meeting.
Right. Based on that time frame that Dan's given us, I will tell you that there are several things that are on the calendar right now that would preclude the week of the 12th. So I'm looking at the week of the 19th. Is all the council going to be in town on the 19th of February?
That's a holiday.
And that's at the end of the day, holiday in the evening, right?
I don't holiday anyway, so. I'm only available Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday.
So the 19th would work.
Yes.
Does the 19th work?
Yes, sir.
Does the 19th work?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Najumian, does the 19th of February work?
What day of the week is that?
On Monday?
Monday the 19th. Yeah.
meeting not in the middle of the day, we'll have it in the evening, like about 6 o'clock, so I think probably most everybody will be holidayed out. So I'm asking, does the 19th work? And it looks like I got an answer of yes, so the 19th.
What about city staff, are they off?
We don't have presidents to document.
Okay.
All right, so the 19th will be the date that we will meet and discuss those 4 candidates. And those 4 candidates I mentioned should be prepared to be interviewed as well. If you are interviewed, we will separate you out so that one does not get to see how one answers and then apply that in their interview. So we will keep them separated so that the interview will be done fairly. I'm going to charge the council to come up with a list of questions that they think are pertinent to the council position. And I will say to you again that normally this is an elected position. I would tell you that keep it focused in that realm. Don't make this more difficult than it needs to be. All right? With that said, I have
6 p.m., correct?
6 p.m. on the 19th. And we will send out from the city to those 4 candidates so they know that we're going to have that on that date. With that said, now what I want to do is I want to add an item to the agenda. And that item is I would like to select a mayor pro tem tonight. And with that said, I am looking for anybody who would like to make a nomination, either somebody on the council or themselves as members of the council.
I'll self-nominate.
All right, Bill Schatzel self-nominates. Any others? Mr. Najumian, any questions? Hello, Mr. Najumian.
No, no questions.
All right. If there is no other nominations, all in favor of Bill Schatzel becoming the mayor pro tem, say aye.
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 All right. Mr. Schatzel, welcome. You are now the mayor pro tem. Mr. Doucette, was there another item that you and I talked about we need to take care of tonight?
Yes, sir, a resolution we need to finalize and get it notarized. If we could have the mayor and Ms. Powell remain the business action.
Okay, we've already read the resolution before the council? Okay, so I want to make sure that Mr. Najumian is aware of that as well, that it's already been read to the council and now we just need to finalize it. And it takes myself, Mr. Deitch, and our attorney. All right, we'll take care of that business here shortly. Does anybody in the audience have anything they want to bring before the council? Again, thank you for all who showed interest in the position and all that attended tonight. I really appreciate it and look forward to you being contributing citizens throughout the year and years to come. Thank you so much. And do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Mr. Najumi, is there an aye there?
Sorry, I'm muted. Aye.
Aye, thank you. This meeting is adjourned.